You have a way of making things happen. I mean, it was, I blogged about the fact that 3:15 yesterday afternoon, we're having dinner with the Dailies at the Mountain Nittany Inn. Got to put a plug in for one of our sponsors. I get the email says they're going to make the announcement in 15 minutes.
Well, we needed to keep, all the internet folks off the trail, so to speak.
Barb called it a Trojan horse that you were going to announce after the convention.
Well, and, in all honesty, there was a point at which it looked like that might be the case. People don't understand that when you're going through a search like this, there are lots of moving parts. We want somebody, and they got to want us. And here's what we're going to offer, and here's what they want. And, there's a lot of give and take. I think we had three terrific candidates. I mean, it's like Brian Burke, who's the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs and, runs general manager USA Hockey over in the World Championships, said you really assembled a murderer's row of coaches. You can't go wrong with the three candidates you have, and they're class guys, all handled it very well. I think in the end, Scott Sandelin wanted to be at Minnesota Duluth. He wanted to be with his program, and I respect that. I think he's done a great job there. He's a quality class act, and Mark Johnson, the pedigree that he has and everything that he's brought to the table, again, but Mark's a Madison guy, and I understand that, but I think when I look back at this, when we first went into it, we said, really, no matter how this plays itself out, we're going to end up with somebody really good. And so, I think we got one of them, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I recall when we went to Buffalo for the Sabres announcement with, we drove up and back and we're talking, and the names that you were mentioning even back then, I mean, how could you not come up with a quality coach? And now you do have one.
Well, and, this, again, a lot of things have to fit, and in some respects, you look at Guy and where he is in his career right now. He built at Fairbanks, Alaska Fairbanks. He built a pro franchise before that, and he's done wonders at Princeton, where, let's face it, that's the hardest place academically to get an athlete into, and yet not only did he get the kids, he got good ones, and he put several of them in the NHL. He was able to win an ECAC championship, an Ivy League championship, 8 seconds away from the Frozen Four. And he's done it with integrity, with class, graduates the kids. I loved when I was there. I went there to look at the arena, to go and learn what I could. I was traveling from Boston, where I had visited 6 rinks, came down the coast and stopped at Princeton. I went to Trenton, and I went to Philadelphia, and it just turned out to be, as I'm getting the tour of the facility and listening to him and the passion he had for the game, it was like, wow, who is this guy, Gadowsky? And I better learn something about him. And Charlie Thompson, who's a physical therapy, the head there of their program, was here with our football program at Penn State. Son played hockey, Colin, and so I mentioned to Charlie, Charlie, tell me a little bit about Guy Gadowsky. And he said, Joe, you will not find a better human being. He is a class act. And he goes, are you thinking about like stealing him from us? And I said, well, his name keeps coming up every time I talk to hockey people in the know, that he's one of the guys you got to, and I got to tell you that, again, when we went out, this was what made it the validation for us when our committee was, again, when people like Brian Burke and Lou Lamoriello and, folks like that, of that caliber, are saying you can't go wrong with any of the guys that you've got as your finalists.
His passion was evident right from the get-go, and he said it only took you 5 minutes to convince him. It took an hour to get Terry Pagula the answer that he wanted.
Well, I got to tell you, Guy really impressed Terry and Kim. When we were down in Philadelphia on Friday night, he was able to get Terry for about a half hour. Terry spent most of the game up with the coaches, but, Terry came down, And which I really appreciated that Terry did that, because Terry had interviewed the other two candidates, and because he was up here for the architectural meetings that we had. But Guy, we were able to work it out so that Guy could be here for the interview on campus, and then we would just go to Philadelphia and meet the Pagulas there. So then, he'd go off to Princeton from Philadelphia, and I think Terry was just overwhelmed at his passion, the way he could articulate the vision that he had for the program. And there's a lot of people out there that can talk a big game, but the proof's in the pudding. He's built. He's got 3 programs under his belt, 1 professional, 2 collegiate. And when I look at what he can potentially do here, given the resources that we're going to have, I think all of our candidates, with the exception of Mark Johnson, I should say, were amazed at what we're going to put on the table in terms of academic support, director of hockey operations, video coach, everything that we've got planned and the resources that we're planning to give them, in addition to the beautiful Pagula Ice Arena. This is Pennsylvania has become a hockey hotbed of late, and here's a chance to take it to a whole nother level.
Obviously, he'll do recruiting in state. He's talked about that, but his connections across Canada and Europe as well are going to be huge for the school.
Absolutely. I think, even when I coached the Icers, we knew that we couldn't do it just with Pennsylvania kids, but the goal was always, if we became a varsity program, we want the best hockey players homegrown in the state of Pennsylvania to think of us first. And if we can get the R.J. Umbergers and the Sergio Somas, to stay put in the state instead of having to go out of state to play, that's an annual goal, to go after the best players in the state and get them here. But let's face it, we're surrounded by states where hockey is very successful: Western New York, Central New York, Upstate New York, Jersey. You also have Ohio, that's got a rich tradition of amateur and high school and travel hockey. But we're 6 hours from Toronto. We're not that far away from Montreal. We're close to all kind of hockey places. And with Youngstown, Ohio now having a USHL franchise, a lot of those teams are going to come into our neck of the woods, so we don't have to spend as much money going out to Iowa and Nebraska and Minnesota to go recruit those kids. Yep.
He talked about what he's going to be doing with the Icers program, and he feels very passionate about the Icers as well, which is great.
Yeah, he embraced, the idea, when we asked him the question about what are you going to do to build the program, he said, well, we already have a strong foundation. We've got this hardcore group of fans that loves hockey, volunteers, et cetera, that are passionate about hockey, and the 1,100 seat arena, and we would fill it, but we just got to do it times 6 now. So he knows we still have to build. I mean, we've got to go around the state, Penn State alums, and speak about what we're trying to do here, get people fired up. The one thing I think all of us agree on is, hey, come and watch a hockey game. If you don't like it, so be it. But I'll bet you if we can get them in here to see the energy, the passion these kids play with, I think we're going to make a lot of people hockey fans.